trust and ownership. And we're primarily talking investment properties. But it can also apply for your personal residence, your cars, boats, toys, your stocks, bonds, anything that's holds a title, real property, personal property. In fact, even your personal property that doesn't have title. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So does it really matter? Okay, here's the standard legal disclaimer that everybody puts on their slides. So I'm not an attorney, and I don't play one on TV. So, but I have taught at the continuing ed conference for attorneys a couple years in a row with one of my friendly attorneys here. Roger Wallach was in the room. So I've taught continuing education to attorneys, not about trust, but about real estate stuff. So a little bit about me. This will be short. I've been a landlord, investor, flipper, wholesaler, note buyer, mainly a landlord. I finally figured out that's really if you're an investor, you're a landlord. All the other stuff is jobs. So, and I try to ball it. Sometimes we still do some of that. I mean, a note buyer could be an investor, but all the other stuff, the short sales, which we did a lot of short sales. That's what we taught attorneys on as one of the subjects. That's a job. That's all it is a job. So, and I've been a consultant for structuring and trust, especially the St. Louis area. And then I'm a speaker, and I had a real estate group for a while. And so, and I'm still a student. I try to learn something all the time, and go to a lot of classes. I go to classes that are taught for continuing ed for attorneys, and I also go to other classes around the country. There's probably only a handful of speakers that I feel are worth my time to go listen to, but there are some good classes out there in the country. So, all right. If you guys got questions, jot them down. I may cover them as we're going along, and it's also probably a question somebody else has got. Trust can be as simple or as complex as you want to make them. So a lot of questions will come up along the way. So you've got my contact info here if you want to write it down. That's my cell phone, so you can text me. And you can email me if you have any questions, or we'll talk about it at the end of the presentation here. So does title really matter? Well, it depends. That's always the answer to any real estate question. When someone asks it to you, what are the facts? What's going on? And how much do you value your privacy? And there's a lot of other hidden benefits. I mean, in today's world, privacy is pretty important. I don't know if you read about all the security breaches we've got. Even the password protection managers we have, they've been breached. I use LastPass, and they got breached a few months ago. So I don't know if any of you guys use password managers out there, but the reason we use those is so our accounts don't get breached. So I finally, about 8 or 9 years ago, I went to unique passwords on all my logins, and when you start adding them up, I probably got several hundred now. And without a password manager, there's no way I could get into any of that stuff. So, but privacy is pretty important today. So who could benefit from this? Well, you could be a landlord, a flipper, a wholesaler, a lender, a business owner, or just an individual who could really benefit from trust. Different people with different situations. There's really something for everyone. And you could go as simple or as complex on it as you desire. So let's talk about some of those benefits. So is it all just standard? Can we just leave it to the title company? Well, I think a lot of folks do that. You might go out and get an LLC, or you get some entity, and you just let the title company handle all the standard documents and the standard paperwork that most people use, the standard deeds. And certainly an attorney will create a trust for you if you want a trust. Typically, when you go to an attorney for a trust, they think you're going to do some estate planning. So that's the type of trust they're probably going to create for the average person out there. But that's not what we're discussing here. So it's more of a title holding trust. And title companies, remember, while they're educated and smart, their paperwork is to cover their butts and to serve their underwriter. Because if they don't have an underwriter, they can't issue title insurance. And it's just like the Realtors Board. I'm a broker also. Their paperwork's written by the attorneys for the Realtors Association. They want to protect the company. It's not about the buyer and seller, really. It's about protecting the agents and the company. So, you got to look at who writes the paperwork. It could be good paperwork, But what was the goal for the paperwork? When I first started using trust, I went to my corporate attorney in Clayton, who's well-known attorney, well-known firm. And he said, yeah, well, I don't get why he would use it, because he didn't understand what we were doing. He said, just create another LLC, or I just don't understand why you would use trust. Well, because he hadn't looked at it, and he had to look at the type of trust we were using. Fine attorney for business law and for, corporate law and LLCs and such, but he didn't understand how we use trust and the many ways they help us. So, and remember, title companies are also fiduciaries. They really are just to follow the instructions of the buyer and seller. And most of those instructions are lined out on the contract. So they're just following orders and following directions. So I don't let the title company tell you what to do. Generally, when they have a problem, it's an underwriter problem. The underwriter won't